with MJF's status for Double or Nothing up in the air and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for May 29th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Despite Johnny Gargano's WWE contract expiring, Tommaso Ciampa recently noted that he lives close to his former tag team partner and keeps in touch. "I still see him. I miss sharing the locker room with him. Honestly, that was a big part too of going to Raw. That NXT locker room with all my best friends, they all left, one at a time. I know more people and more of my friends are on Raw and SmackDown than there are in NXT, so I miss him from that standpoint. I miss a lot of guys from a work standpoint, but that's just part of the game. You're with people every day for 6 months or a year, and then all of a sudden different brands or promotions or companies. So it's just part of it. We live 10 minutes away from each other and we still see each other, so I don't miss him too much." Talking about AEW on a Strictly Business podcast, Eric Bischoff praised the company for having realistic-looking production compared to WWE. "One of the things I like much better about AEW's production than WWE's is that I actually feel like I'm in the arena. It's not so pretty compared to WWE, and it's almost artificial when it's done so well that I just feel like I'm in the arena. I can almost smell the popcorn. For me, that's the part that I miss, that I enjoy the most, the experience. I really want to almost smell the popcorn, that stale beer that somebody spilled the night before, because that's what brings me back to what made me fall in love with professional wrestling. The cleaner it gets, the more distance I feel from it, and the less my experience becomes. When you create that totally artificial environment, and there's a lot of reasons why that might be a great idea. I will tell you, for me as an individual, they lost me at that point. There's no way I'm going to spend 2 minutes of my life watching, because I'm not getting anything out of it. It's one of the reasons why I love professional wrestling. We all have different reasons why we love it, why we're attracted to it in the first place. It's different for everybody. For me personally, the minute they do that, I'm out. Completely out. During a Q&A with Sports Illustrated, Bryan Danielson revealed a major reason for signing with AEW, saying, "It's interesting. I've always felt a certain level of guilt in pro wrestling. I also love this thing so much. We actually had a really good conversation about this a couple weeks ago in the locker room. Yes, wrestling does help people, but I still do it for selfish reasons. The Texas shooting is horrible. It almost makes me go, what am I doing right now? I should be home with my kids. This can be hard to explain. I read this great book, 4,000 Weeks, and I was just telling my friend about it. The book says it's about time management, but it's actually a book about philosophy. The average lifespan is only 4,000 weeks. If you look at where I'm at now, I'm 2,000 weeks in, and I've got 2,000 weeks left. With all the craziness in the world, do I want to spend the rest of those weeks entertaining people, or do I want to spend more time with my family?" And that's actually one of the reasons why I chose AEW. It allows me the ability to have a little more freedom with my wrestling and wrestle different people with different styles, but it's also to spend more time with my family. With the Blackpool Combat Club facing the Jericho Appreciation Society at Double or Nothing, Danielson has expressed interest in facing IWGP Heavyweight Champion Okada at the Forbidden Door event. Touching on the chief brand officer for WWE, Stephanie McMahon, taking a leave of absence, Andrew Zarian noted on We're Live Pal that she was questioned in regards to her abilities. It was a very bizarre conversation. I'll tell you that. I didn't expect that phone call. It was a phone call that kind of veered into a discussion about Steph. So I asked and I was like, "Hey, anything I could add to this? What's going on?" And you know, some of the comments, I was shocked. One being that people internally, and this is coming from someone in the know in WWE. This wasn't like a guy in catering. The comment was that internally, there was doubt put on Steph and her abilities as an executive, and a lot of this started after she absorbed some of Michelle Wilson's responsibilities after she left. One responsibility being ad sales and sponsorship. And the comment that I found interesting was that they mentioned that the investors were questioning why they weren't performing as well, and internally, there was some questioning as to why that wasn't performing. I think a month ago, WWE's head of global sales and partnerships, Claudine Lillian, she went over to handle that, and she was released a month ago, and Nick Khan has taken over all of these takes responsibilities. When the Shane issue happened at the Royal Rumble, WWE was pretty quick to kind of say, yeah, he got sent home for all the reasons that you heard, right? I was not expecting the words to be used for Steph because at the end of the day, the McMahons are the McMahons, and they are the most protected people in that company. In some unfortunate news, former WWE referee Dave Hebner, the twin brother of Earl, is apparently dealing with health complications according to NASCAR's Hermie Sadler, who recently visited him and took to Twitter to write, "I've said many times that friendships and relationships are very important to me. Took the time today to go visit Dave Hebner. The Hebner family is so special to my family. Join me in sending some positive vibes his way." With him previously noting at the beginning of the month that he will be in a neck brace due to his C1 vertebrae not healing optimally. Now the former WWE champion has posted a picture of himself without the brace on, as this could be a sign that Big E will not be needing neck fusion surgery. With him set to face Wardlow at Double or Nothing, MJF may not be at the event after no showing the AEW FanFest, as Brian Alvarez wrote. It appears the situation with Samoa Joe missing the FanFest was a communication issue, so totally different from whatever is happening with MJF, who did no show. As far as what's happening with MJF, it appears anyone who knows isn't talking, and the rest have no idea what's going on. No clue at this point whether he will be on the show tomorrow. Fightful would note that a flight was booked for MJF out of Las Vegas. AEW has remained quiet about the situation, not responding to inquiries for information or comment. The only sources with the company that would speak on the matter said that they were very unhappy about how it all played out. One AEW source said they heard that communication between the two sides had reached an all-time low. AEW talent and personnel were asked to not comment on the situation, and those we've spoken to have not heard back from him. A flight for MJF out of Las Vegas across the country was booked for late Saturday night. Whether or not he gets on the plane remains to be seen. Neither side would confirm the reasoning for this one press. We have to reiterate, we're not sure if he's actually getting on that plane, but I've confirmed a flight for him to be booked out of Vegas Saturday night. PW Insider would add that MJF had not left to fly back home. For those asking, we were told MJF is still in Las Vegas as of this writing, which would mean he did not fly back to the East Coast, which until an hour or so ago remained a possibility. For those asking if the situation is a work, that is a big no, but obviously everything can be retroactively converted into one if everyone gets on the same page. AEW also tweeted an ad for the pay-per-view bout between Wardlow and MJF, but the company would end up deleting that post. With the situation between MJF and AEW seemingly heating up, Brian Alvarez would note on Wrestling Observer Radio that more stars might be willing to make the move to WWE. There's been a big shift among people in AEW, not that like they want out, but it's definitely different in the sense that I get the impression that more people are willing to go to WWE if they get like a great offer. Whereas a couple of years ago, it wasn't like they wouldn't go if they offered tons of money, but they were like so happy to be there in AEW. But now that they have seen that Cody's made a lot of money and he's like a top guy and he's getting pushed, now things have absolutely changed in the way that people view potentially going to WWE. Speaking of the previously mentioned AEW FanFest that took place yesterday, Limp Bizkit would perform as a few of the company stars got on stage and had some fun. Here's the video. Talking about Sasha Banks and Naomi walking out on WWE during Monday Night Raw, former WWE star Lance Storm said on Ariel Helwani's show that this seemed irrational. Maybe there was a dispute over that led to other frustrations that was the straw that broke the camel's back, but I just can't fathom. We don't want to do the 6-person match and then singles programs the next pay-per-view, we're leaving. I just don't buy that. I know Sasha a little bit, I don't really know Naomi, but that's way too irrational to me. WWE legend Goldberg is now trending on social media as Dave Meltzer speculated on Wrestling Observer Radio that he could replace MJF tonight for AEW to face Wardlow. PW Insider reported that, as of 5 minutes ago, MJF has not been spotted backstage at AEW Double or Nothing. Sean Ross Sapp would also reveal that surrounding his contract, January 1st, 2024 is the date of expiration for the MJF AEW contract, according to sources close to MJF himself. MJF had originally signed with the company in 2019, but signed an extension that significantly increased his salary over the amount he'd signed for. However, since then, MJF has felt like he's drastically outperformed even that deal, and had expressed his frustration with his AEW contract. This led to he and Tony Khan butting heads in early April, leading to much of the drama that has unfolded this weekend. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.